to not know that this is all they know, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
personally, I agree with Asia. I don't take offense, like, oh, like what? But they cannot talk too swift and slick about black people, black women, too long around me in a way that doesn't represent, because it then becomes my sister Shushu or my sister Asia or my sister Tanisha, right? Even though I may not display it, and even though I may understand where they're coming from, I'm very careful. I don't separate myself too far, because people get too comfortable with talking about us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not out acting a fool and rolling my neck and ready to get into it with somebody. That's not my thing. But for my sister who don't know no better, they talking about her, and there's a responsibility that I have to have. So to say whose fault it is, I think I think it could be, some of the men that, be like, oh, my ex-wife is crazy, or whatever the case may be. I think
Right.
society, I think entertainment, and I think we ourselves. Because Tyler Perry has created a character who does not depict us mature. She's not full of wisdom. She cuckoo, right? She's funny, right, to us because we know better. But
Mm-hmm.
so I think this has been a bunch of components that have created where we are. But ultimately, as Asia said, we are responsible um, to grow and change. It's just hard when you don't know that that's an option for you.
Yeah. And so it sounds like we're all taking responsibility for ourselves. Like, there's a part of the black woman that kind of perpetuates this attitude based on whatever the circumstance that we've been placed in, even
You
if
right
it's
about
in a like a low impoverished area, or just it doesn't even have to be a low income impoverished area. You could just have an attitude just because you have an attitude, right? So it brings me to the next question, which is, as and you guys have kind of answered this a little bit, but I'm just going to still ask this question. Like, what can we do? We know what we can do individually for those who actually do know, but for those who don't, and as a whole, what do you feel, Shushu, that black women on a whole and individually can do to kind of, like, I don't think it'll erase the stereotype, but kind of change it where we're not just viewed as the angry black woman anymore.
Oh, that's the hard one.
what is that?
I
It is because, um, like I said before, every time we step out, we represent the entire race. We
Right.
wear our race on our shoulders. So you can have, let's say, out of 50 black women, you can have 49 of them. I'm talking about beat to the gods. You know what I mean? And walking with their head up held high. But then you
Hmm.
got this one bonnet and a bathrobe on, smoking cigarettes and cussing and all this other stuff. And the world will still paint the 49 black women as that one black woman that isn't in line with the rest of them. So
Right.
it's a hard image to like shake off.
Yeah. So as a whole, do you think it's just like impossible as a whole to pull it off, like to try to come together so that we as black women don't look like angry black women, or just it's kind of like that's just it. That's just what we're seen as. Like,
Now we can like start by holding each other accountable, like when your sister gets out of line and she's like completely wrong for like
mm,
going off the handle, like whoa, hold on, you're doing too much. Like
yeah,
listen, calm down. It's unnecessary. This is not the right way to handle this.
right.
But then you do have, and it makes it hard because you do have some instances where you have every right to be upset. But
Mm-hmm.
rather than,
Mm-hmm.
and the stigma, what it does is it invalidates your reasons, like for being angry. Like if you're violated or something like that, and you have a right to be upset about it, it's dismissed as, oh, there she go being an angry black woman. Well, I have
Mm-hmm.
every right to be angry in a situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like it's not validated, it's not taken seriously because it's just seen as, oh, well, they get mad about anything, they just mad anyway.
Yeah, they just looking for a reason to get mad.
Right, right. So I'm just like, but in situations where we do go too far. We do need to hold each other accountable. Like, hey, sister, like now you know you're wrong.
Yeah,
You
I
want to,
I I actually like that the accountability factor of it.
mm-hmm.
Asia, what do you think as a whole and individually? What can we do as Black women to kind of change this stereotype or perception that we have as being the angry Black woman?
Well, in addition to taking accountability, I think we can listen to our male counterparts' feedback as well. Sometimes
Mm.
we tend to kind of like leave men out of the picture and their opinions and thoughts on things, but in reality, we want to attract them. We want to, for the most part, not everybody. Some people are happy being homosexual, and that's cool too. But for the most part, we want heterosexual, long lasting relationships. We want to be with Black men and have Black children and have great lives. So it's like, in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that, we have to submit to our men and listen to the feedback that they give us. So if they're telling us to be more feminine and soft and not so aggressive and things like that, then we have to take heed to that.
Mm-hmm. I like that answer because we do need to. I think as Black women we get the rap that y'all don't want to listen, y'all don't want to submit, but a part of that is true on some level, not all, but you need that strong man that's going to be able to lead you so that you can really hear his voice, right? I mean, I don't know if you agree with that, but I really like that what you said, Asia, to listen to like the men that are with us, like they know us the best, right? So if they're telling us, then I think, yeah, we should take a listen to hear what they have to say. Dawn, what do you think? Do as a
Um,
whole and individually, what can we do?
I agree with both again, Shushu and Asia, that we do have to hold each other accountable. We have to hold ourselves because oftentimes, like say for example, we decide, like I said, oh, I'm gonna stop cursing so much, right? Or I'm gonna think before I speak, or I'm gonna be careful about my response, right? And then Shushu makes me really mad, and then I freaking lose it, right? And then later on, I tell you and Asia, I'm like, I know I lost my cool, but right, and then I give all these reasons why I was able to act a fool with her at the restaurant, right? And even though it may be legit because she did some really foul things, I have to hold myself accountable because
Yeah.
I don't. I'm cool until I'm not cool, and that's the part. So, in addition to that, the second part of that, if we I'm not no historian or even a power to people, but I have to. I'm a person because I'm doing my self journey about healing and just becoming a better version of myself. And so I'm really focusing on where the origin of things come from, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so if we would speak about it historically, we were silenced as Black women, right? We weren't.
Mm-hmm.
You
Good
were raped.
point.
You were raped. You had your baby in the field. You kept plucking, and then if the master wanted to do his business that same night after you gave birth, then that's what
Mm.
it was, right? So finally, we get a voice. And when we finally open our mouths, it is erratic and it's, crass and it's all these things that people can put titles on to call us angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then if we
Mm-hmm.
land in a relationship with not so wonderful man that Moza and Asia mentioned, that we can turn over and be vulnerable to and submit to in a way because we know that he's going to cover us first by keeping God, right? Because I don't want nobody being led that don't know for me. It's me, right?
Right.
And then we're operating from this space. And so then here we are again. We're finally opening our mouths and our voice. So I don't think we always as Black women may give it the way it should be given, but it comes from a place of origin of being silenced, our pain being silenced. And it doesn't give us the right to act a fool and do all these things because we have, we're not there anymore. This is not the 1800s, right? So I got that part. But historically, things, habits and families are raised. And so those are my thoughts. So I just think that as a whole, those are the ways that we can identify because whole is a lot, right? It's all of us, and we all have to have
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
mindset. But I think starting with self, and then giving somebody the opportunity that you trust, your circle around you to hold you accountable, and then the relationships you find yourself in, right? I think all of that, if all of us did a little bit of that, then we would show up differently.
Okay, those are all really good, powerful answers, and they're all valid because we it's important for us as sisters to hold each other accountable, and I think in a Black community, us as women. We don't do that too well sometimes, we it's more like stabbing each other in the back, we talking about each other behind our backs, but the accountability portion, that's key. And as Asia said, we need to listen to what the men are saying. A lot of times, we are quick to say, well, he can't tell me nothing, so we really have to, I think as Black women, we're so known to be strong and forceful and not submissive. And, the other Caucasian women or Latin women, they're known, Asian women, they're known to be those things, submissive. And, I think that us being so forceful is what plays into that whole angry, Black woman stereotype too. And as we're coming to that, my next question is, do you feel like the Caucasian, the Latin and other non-Black, ethnicities, the men who go for those type of women versus Black women, do you feel it's because they don't, because they have this Black woman attitude? Shushu, what are your thoughts on it? Do you feel like men who are with Caucasian, Latin, Asian, other ethnic women of ethnic backgrounds don't want to deal with the Black woman attitude?
Well, really, if you listen to any of the guys talking in these spaces, a lot of times the reason why they go to other races is not necessarily because they don't want a Black woman, it's because the Black women aren't choosing them. It's really what it boils down to. You can say, "Oh, Black women are submissive. Black women, da, 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 da." But even with our like unruliness and unsubmissiveness, like they if they could choose a Black woman, they would. But it's just a lot of it is just the Black women aren't choosing them, which is the issue. So
Yes, you should. Yeah.
right, it's not that we aren't desired by our men. We are, but it's just that we aren't desiring them.
Right. That's a great perspective.
Yeah, it's just or it's let's just be honest, it's a certain sector of our men that we desire.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are just kind of out here like, oh, what about us? And and so it's just kind of like they have to look elsewhere. And I just being honest, I can't be upset with a man who goes outside his race and like someone else. That that's not an issue to me. But where the issue, what rubs me the wrong way is when they try and pedestalize or make it seem like women of the other race are better. And that's when the reality check got to come in. No, brother, it ain't that she's better, because at the end of the day, she's a woman just like we are. It's just that, hey, you just weren't the top pick, in our community. That's unfortunate.
Right.
But you can't sit up here and just make it sound like she better because she was willing to give you a chance.
That's like the way you put it, Shushu. I had never thought of it in that light. I never thought of it like, oh, it's because we're not choosing them. I'm just, I've always thought like, they just don't want to deal with the negativity or the attitude or the talk back. But what you're saying, it makes so much sense, and they'll
put up with it. They will as much as they don't like it.
Right.
That's the underlying truth too. They'll put up with it. They don't like it, but they will. It's just that they aren't
not choosing.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for part 3.